Hi there, folks. Welcome back to Mossy Roots Farm. Let's have a drink. Don't worry, it's just water. I don't drink alcohol, I don't smoke, but I feel like any good talking video like this, you gotta have something to do, right? Watch a couple guys, they like to smoke a pipe or a cigar while they talk about a book or a topic, so let's drink a little water. Let's be healthy, right? Let's claim that, let's be healthy. So, today, I want to talk about something that I'm going to start up, and I think it's going to catch the world on fire. It's called common sense grazing. And the reason why I think that's never existed and I can start up my own thing is because every single person out there is trying to sell you something. I see it a lot in the grazing groups, and the regenerative grazing groups per se, because there's more than one way to be a regenerative grazer. You know, just a basic top of the head kind of a deal. You got the guys that call ultra high density, where they pack a lot of cows into a small little area, and then they do total grazing. You know, that can also be called that as well. And some of the benefits of that is that you eat every grass species down the same, but you got to move the cows every single day. And generally, since you're eating them all the same, it's generally really short when you get the cows off of the grass. So you need a longer rest period, which does not work in a place where I'm at because acres are pretty expensive to buy. So if like I was in a desert, like the Chihuahua Desert or something, it'd be easy to get 1,000 acres and have 25 cows or 100 cows or whatever the carrying capacity is. But up here, I can't do that. A couple reasons why is I got a bunch of weeds that would overtake real fast. I got autumn olive, multiflora rose, tree of heaven. Some of you, that might be locust. I've heard a lot of folks out west or even Midwest talking about locust issues. So, you know, that could be an issue. So the other thing is the whole take a third, leave 2/3 method, or take a half, leave a half method. A lot of folks say that the problem with that is you overgraze the desired species and you leave them with the less desired species. So a counter argument to that is that, again, you leave less, or you leave undesired, they kill off the desired, you have none. A good pro for that is that it encourages the cows to graze more evenly because all the good stuff is gone. So if it truly worked that way and all the good stuff was gone, then they would only have junk left. But if you have a good multi-species pasture, that quote junk is not actually junk. That quote junk is stuff that they may need. And here's why I say that. I've been told that cows, if given the opportunity, will seek out the plant that they need most. So let's just say, for example, ironweed has a lot of iron in it. Let's just say that. Well, if the cow thinks it needs iron, it'll go eat that ironweed, right? That's the whole point of that concept. If the cow needs protein, it'll go after clover. All kinds of different stuff like that. So if that's the case, those quote undesired species that they're not eating could just be that they don't need what's in that plant. If a plant is really high in vitamin D or C or A or Z, whatever, it might just not need it or want it. So is there a problem with that? I don't know, but some people would tell you there is. So then you've got the folks that are doing, I think they call it like strip grazing. I think that's what they call it, where they just give them little strips at a time. And then the cows will only eat that little strip, and then once that strip is gone, you move them on to the next. But they kind of use the same theory of ultra-high density grazing, but with strip grazing, you don't stomp as much into the dirt. Basically, you let the cows eat it all before it gets stomped into the dirt. But you got to move the cows 5, 10, 20 times a day. So you really have to have that as your only job. Your cows have to be your only job. And it can be hard for some farmers starting out to do that. And the big issue with all of these types of grazing is these folks preaching this stuff will tell you, you have to do this and this and that. It's not flexible. They don't want it to be flexible. They're not allowing it to be flexible. And it needs to be flexible. When I started, I didn't start with the whole farm. I started with 1.5 acres, maybe 2 acres. That's what I started with. Quote, rotationally grazing. And I say that because the rest of the farm was continuously grazed, so that's a problem. But I did that. I rotationally grazed about 1.5 to 2 acres, and I liked it, and then I went further. And now I've got the whole farm sectioned off, or at least I know about where I'm going to section it off when I start up in the springtime. So some folks gotta start small. They might not have the infrastructure. They might not have a fence built. They might not have reels and gate hooks and all of this stuff to stretch it all out. They might not have fence posts to fence it all off. That's a lot of money that you got to put into it to get to that point. So that's what I mean is there's things like that where a lot of these folks just don't quite get that. And another issue I see with all these grazers, these big-time grazers, is they've gotten so large because they were successful, so I will give them that they forgot where they started. So a guy in the Chihuahua Desert is not going to start out with 1,000 acres and 500 head of cattle and be able to successfully graze that. He's going to build up to it, right? So he's going to take a 50-acre farm and maybe have a couple cows on it. And then he's going to put a couple more cows out as soon as the grass starts growing better. And then maybe he buys a 100-acre farm because the neighbor really loves what he's doing with that 50 acres. You know, so he's got all these opportunities and he's worked his way up. You know, he didn't start at the top. He started at the bottom and went here and here and here. So a lot of these folks forget that fact. You know, a lot of these folks say, oh, look at this water system. Oh, look at this feed system. Look at this fence system. Look how great it is. My fence is literally 2-wire, and there's some aluminum and some steel, which you guys know does not mix. I fix fence all the time. Hi, Cat. Cat has joined me like it does in almost every video where I'm sitting here doing nothing. That's a little bit about some of the other styles of grazing. What's common sense grazing? Common sense grazing is whatever type of grazing works for you guys. If strip grazing works for you guys because you're a stay-at-home mom and you want to do strip grazing, awesome. If you've got 5 kids running around and they need something to do, have them set up the paddocks. Have them help you set up the paddocks and cut it down to as small as you want. If you want to move a cow every half hour, you can. You can fence it off and move it every half an hour, and there's nothing wrong with that. I will say maybe that small, you're kind of putting more effort in for not as many results, but really. But, you know, it is an option. It is an opportunity. So maybe that's why. Maybe that's why you start strip grazing. Sorry. You could be like me, where I currently am working anywhere from 10 to 12 hours every single day, Monday to Friday, and most of the time on Saturday. Now, this past Saturday, I only worked 7 hours, but it still took up most of my day. I was at work from 2 to 9 p.m., so it wasn't like I got those 7 hours and could come in late. It's not like I only worked till noon and worked 7 hours. No, I pretty much still lost my whole day, so I couldn't move cows if I wanted to. You know, I'd have to do it in the dark, and cows don't like to move when it's dark because it's scary at the dark. Really, Cat? So that's what I mean is there's all types of reasons why you would choose one system over the other. And I talked a little bit about land requirements. So a total graze system or a high density graze system is going to require more ground because you need longer rest periods, right? So the whole premise of that is that you graze it to the dirt essentially, and then you let it completely and utterly recover. Sometimes that takes 1.5 years or 2 years. So for me to not be able to graze the same pasture for 2 years, that would mean I would need 200 acres for my 15 cows. Now that may be an exaggeration, but still, that's a lot of acres for only 15 cows. So you're not making the money on that. But in a desert, if you can get 200 acres for $5,000, it makes it worth it, doesn't it? Money-wise, it works. You guys starting out are going to be in different places. Some folks already have cows and fence set up. Some folks are going to have to set up fence and cows. Some folks, their granddad has been rotationally grazing. They got handed the farm. Awesome. These cat claws in my leg are not awesome. Ow, will you sit down? Just sit there and be a good cat. But that's what I mean. Common sense grazing takes everything into consideration, says forget about the experts that are, I will call it, selling their product, even though they may not be making any money on it because they're telling you about their product for free, their way of grazing for free. They're still selling a product. They're still selling themselves, even if themselves are the product. You know, I know lots of these experts that go out and do grazing schools, which is great. I'm going to need 2 hands to deal with this. And if that's what you're doing and you're making money on it, I am not bashing you for making money on being able to talk to people. That's not my issue. My issue is you assume that's the only way you can graze. That's not the only way you can graze. That's why common sense grazing is the only type of grazing you should do, because it makes sense to your farm. Use your common sense and say, okay, I don't have 35 acres for one cow, so I can't do this type of method. Even with bale grazing, okay? You may not be able to bale graze like I bale graze. I use big round bales because I have a tractor. You can borrow a neighbor's equipment, but what if your closest neighbor is 10 miles down the road like you live in a desert? Okay, then you can't do that. What if your closest neighbor doesn't have big equipment like that? Or what if the big equipment cannot get into your little farm, like the neighbor over here? A neighbor down the road's equipment does not fit in his farmyard. It's too small, so you cannot get a big tractor over there. You may have to use small square bales, and there's nothing wrong with small square bales. If you bale graze with small square bales that are this size, that means you'll have to feed every day. That means you can move the bales around every single day so the cows still are out in the field and not stuck in a barn. But that might be the only thing that works for your system. That might be the only type of farming you can really accomplish because of your limitations. And who am I to tell you that's wrong? Who am I to tell you that's never going to work? You know, that just doesn't even make sense. You guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is going to be a longer video. I wanted to see if I could make a longer video, if it got views, see if me just talking got you guys interested in stuff. Maybe you put it on as a podcast and just listen to me in the background while you move cows or milk cows or something. You know, maybe you guys absolutely hate this. Let me know in the comments, please. I want to know what you guys think. But there will be more to come from the common sense grazing. I will be showing more of it throughout the year. I will be talking about more of it throughout the year and how I do more adaptive than anything. And I think adaptive or common sense is maybe the best way for everyone to do it, because there's no one size fits all. There's no one farming practice fits all. There's people that till up every year with a moldboard plow. There's some people that do no-till. Doesn't mean they're wrong, just means they're different. So anyways, guys, instead of me rambling on, I wanted to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you on the next one.